Good afternoon, Mr. Yormark. Welcome to Tencent, and thank you for taking the interview. Actually, I know this is not your first time to China, right? You've been here for so many times. So, among all the visits to China, which is the most impressive?
Well, this is my sixth trip here. My first trip was, I think, in 2009. We came as, our first time here to Beijing. And then following that, in 2010, our team played here when we were still in New Jersey. E was on our team, and we had the privilege of being with him here in China. And then we returned in the fall of 2014 when we became the Brooklyn Nets. So China has been, in some respects, our home away from home. We've had a great experience here, and I think it's our brand resonates here. And we're looking to grow our brand and our business as much as we can in the near future.
I know that actually before joining the Nets in 2005, you actually had a very successful 6-year period in NASCAR, right?
Yes, I did.
So, in your eyes, what's the major difference between running a stock car racing company and a business and a basketball team?
Well, when people have asked me that question before, I've always said that whether it's stock car racing or basketball, my job is somewhat similar. I grew up on the commercial side of the business, selling sponsorships, and that's what I did at NASCAR. Obviously, my role is more diversified here with the Brooklyn Nets, and it's just not the Brooklyn Nets. We've become Brooklyn Sports Entertainment. We manage different venues and different teams. So I guess my role has become more of a leader and an operator than just as a commercial seller. But I still get involved on the commercial side, and that's one of the reasons, obviously, I'm here.
So what's the major motivation for you to make the move from NASCAR to basketball?
Well, I grew up a basketball fan. I started my career in 1988 with the New Jersey Nets. I'd always aspired to return as the CEO, and thankfully I was given the opportunity in 2005, and I'm heading into my 12th year. Actually,
me myself is also used to be a Nets fan, and this part was on the team.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And, in 2012, we were awarded the Sports Leadership Award. So I'm curious about your eyes. What does it take to be a great leader in sports?
Well, I think it starts with hard work and being passionate and committed. And I'm a firm believer that if you love what you do, you have at least a pretty good chance of being relatively successful. And when I look back on my last 20 plus years in the industry, I think it's been built on hard work, passion, and commitment. And I've tried to kind of live by that every day, and thankfully it's been able to been the right recipe for me as it relates to my career and where I've ended up.
So now let's move to the Nets organization, the Brooklyn Nets, which used to be called the New Jersey Nets. So in year 2012, Nets moved from New Jersey to Brooklyn. Was the transition period smooth?
It was. I mean, we had the better part of 7 years to get ready for the move. The move was somewhat delayed because of the economy and some nuances in Brooklyn. But ultimately, in the fall of 2012, we made the move to the Barclays Center. It's been a great move. It was an opportunity for us to redefine and reposition our brand from New Jersey to Brooklyn, and I think we've made the most of it. And made the playoffs the first 3 out of 4 years in Brooklyn. And now we're at a stage where we're going through a bit of a rebuild, and I'm excited about the future. We have a new GM, a new coach, and I think the better days are certainly ahead of us.
So comparing the two sites, New Jersey and Brooklyn, what's the biggest benefit that the Brooklyn has brought to the Nets since the move?
Well, I think candidly, Brooklyn's a basketball market. Basketball is part of the DNA of the borough, and because we had 6 years to start seeding the brand, there was incredible anticipation for the arrival of the Brooklyn Nets, and we've been feeding off that ever since. And Brooklyn is a borough that has a lot of grit. They're very passionate about things that they call their own, and they've embraced our team. You walk down the streets of Brooklyn, they're wearing our black and white, and it's been a great move for us, and I think it's only going to get better as the team performs.
Speaking of the inspiration and all the enthusiasm of the basketball in Brooklyn area. Last season, you said that last season will be kind of like a traditional year and a year that the team will show promises and show how the future can be. So after last season, did the team really meet your expectation and have really shown such promises?
Well, it was a transitional year for sure, and candidly was a disappointing season. I mean, we want to be a team that routinely is in the playoffs, and we're competing at the highest levels. Last year, that wasn't the case. We were beset by some injuries and some unfortunate situations. But middle of the season, we decided to retool. A new GM, a new coach, a new culture, a new environment. We'll have 10 plus new players this season. We've infused the team with a lot of youthful energy and exciting energy, also some veteran players, and obviously the prize of our free agency this past summer was Jeremy Lin. So we're very, very excited about what has gone on with the team over the last 2 months, and we're hoping to build a great foundation for the future.
You just mentioned Jeremy Lin, but we'll talk about him later. But first, there's one Chinese player, Yi Lin, who used to be a net for 2 seasons. And just yesterday, he just finished his journey in the Rio Olympics 2016. So I'm wondering, do you still follow his game?
I do. I mean, I know he's been obviously playing in China in the CBA, and I've been following him casually, just kind of seeing, how he's doing, and watched him, when they played the USA in the first game of the Olympics. I think he had 28 points, and he looked terrific. So I wish him well.
He's been the leader in many statistics, like points, like rebounds, like he kind of like just make the Chinese team like single-handed. And speaking of, like, besides the points he scored and like the rebounds he grabbed, what kind of other benefits or other opportunities has Yi Lin brought to the Nets?
Well, I think in many respects he opened up the door here in China for us. We had not really been to the marketplace prior to his arrival. Obviously, with him joining our team, he gave us an opportunity to travel to the marketplace and to build our business and to build our brand. So, I certainly thank him for that and wish him well.
And now let's move to Jeremy Lin, who just beat Matt not long ago. You know what? I remember that actually the first game of what we call Linsanity was actually against the Nets, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Like probably 25 points?
I think it was 30 plus points, and he played against Darren Williams, and it was a terrific night, for him, obviously. And to your point, it started, a different type of journey for him.
So have you ever imagined that one of these days I'll get Jeremy Lin on the team?
Well, I didn't, candidly. Our new coach, Kenny Atkinson, has a history with Jeremy. They were on the Knicks together. But when we were looking, at what we needed to fill during the offseason, the point guard position obviously was, the first initiative for us. And they felt that Jeremy would be the right player for the Brooklyn Nets. And thankfully, we were able to get him in free agency, and I look forward to many great years with Jeremy wearing a Brooklyn Nets uniform.
I remember that just during the interview in the summer offseason, summer league, and Jeremy Lin mentioned that for himself, Linsanity is kind of like something in the past tense. So, I mean, from a CEO point of view, how do you envision like Jeremy Lin's next season performance? Will he have any chance of replicating the Linsanity again?
Well, we're not looking at replicating Linsanity. I think what you have to do, and based on Jeremy's arrival in Brooklyn, is just let whatever's going to happen organically, and we'll let the fans dictate that. Jeremy came here because he's going to be a starter for the Brooklyn Nets. He's focused on helping us create a new culture and the next chapter in the Brooklyn Nets history. And I think that's what we're focused on. We're not necessarily focused on Linsanity or anything like that.
So I also remember that you mentioned when Lin joined the team that Jeremy Lin will bring potential opportunities to the team. So I'm wondering, what do you mean exactly by these opportunities?
Well, I think he gives us an opportunity to tap into a new fan base. Obviously the Chinese Americans throughout the tri-state area. There's over 1 million of Chinese Americans that reside, many of which reside in Brooklyn. I think over 200,000. So to the extent that he can afford us the opportunity to connect to a new fan base, we'll take advantage of that. And I think it'll be great, to bring a new fan base into the Barclays Center this upcoming season.
Next question is kind of like interesting. Comparing the E's time to Lin's time, what are the changes that it's gone through, especially to the overseas market, especially the Chinese market, and how will the Nets organization embrace such changes?
Well, obviously, since we've had E, the sport of basketball has grown tremendously here in China. If I'm not mistaken, it's the #1 viewed sport. Over 300 million people participate in basketball in China and call themselves fans. So the sport has taken off dramatically. And I think hopefully Jeremy Lin in a Brooklyn Nets uniform continues to fuel that growth, not only for the NBA, but for our brand here in China. And then obviously in the New York metropolitan area, we saw a little bit of the excitement that the Chinese Americans had for the Nets when E was with us, and hopefully that'll be somewhat amplified now that Jeremy's with us.
Okay, sure. And last one is, in year 2002, the Houston Rockets drafted Yang Mei, and Houston Rockets soon became probably the one and only home team to most of the Chinese NBA fans. And then there comes E, and the Nets also become another home team to all the Chinese fans. And now with Jeremy Lin, how will the organization, how the Nets organization to improve and to become a better home team for all the Chinese fans?
Well, trips like this certainly help us. We like to meet with the media. We're meeting with lots of different groups and key stakeholders in the sport. So hopefully between Jeremy's play, with the Brooklyn Nets, our brand being more visible here, hopefully we'll return here in the fall of 17 with the NBA to play here in China. Hopefully we'll continue to fuel the excitement for our team here in China and be considered maybe behind Houston as the second home team of fans here in China.
Thank you, Mr. Yormark.
Thank you very much for having me.